Recently I rewatched Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and noticed several interesting details within the set designs I've yet to hear anyone else mention online. So I took some notes and jotted down my thoughts and figured it would be fun to make a video to highlight these newly discovered details which I think really enhance the film further. With that said, if you've already clicked on this video then I'm sure you would have already seen the movie by now, but if you haven't I would advise going to see it first before watching any further. So the main catalyst for the plot of the movie is the character Eli Mills, who convinces his employer Benjamin Lockwood to hire ex-Jurassic World employees Claire Dearing and Owen Grady on a mission to Isla Nublar in order to save as many dinosaur species from extinction before the island's volcano erupts. Benjamin is keen to fund this illegal operation in order to help nullify the grief he holds for his late daughter who loved dinosaurs. However, Benjamin also explains that he is seeking redemption through this act for his part in cloning his dead daughter in the form of Maisie, who has no idea she is a clone and also loves dinosaurs.
You're gonna save them?
No, Miss Dearing. I'm going to save us. We could both use a touch of redemption, couldn't we? We will save them. What a gift for our children.
Mills, however, has a secret agenda in which he seeks to capture a velociraptor named Blue to further the development of his militarized dinosaur project, something he's been secretly working on within the repurposed labs of the manor's basement, where Maisie was cloned. Now, like most movies, the filmmakers behind Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom utilised controlled sets to bring the story to life, and for anyone who knows the movie industry well, especially movies made by competent filmmakers, constructed sets are usually made with the utmost care and attention to details, where filmmakers will often hide visual cues to the narrative being told, and Fallen Kingdom is no different. Especially when it comes to the design of the wallpaper in Mills' office, Maisie's bedroom, and Benjamin's bedroom, which I believe are representative of the characters themselves and their motives. As production designer Andy Nicholson explains in this article from motionpictures.org, you'll notice that in Maisie's bedroom there's gold leaf wallpaper with dinosaurs on it. We created an entire backstory for Maisie that we never got to explore in the story, but it's there in the design. So whilst I've yet to find the supposed dinosaurs in the gold leaf wallpaper, I think that might have actually been a mistake on the part of the article. This quote actually proves though how the wallpaper designs I'm about to discuss are in fact specifically created for the set and add a layer of depth to the story being told. Starting with the office room Mills uses in order to conduct his nefarious plans, the wallpaper is the most obvious in being reflective of his character. Someone whose true motives are hidden from others. He hides behind a facade of good, but really, he's the bad guy. He is ultimately two-faced. One minute he's a good Samaritan, the next he's a murderer. The design of a hexagonal shape split into one half being white and the other half being black in a strictly uniformed pattern envelops the entire room, where he lies to Claire to get her to join the mission along with Owen, and when he calls Wheatley to find out how the mission is going. Two scenes each showcasing a side of his character. In fact, it's also this room where Maisie interrupts Mills' phone call to Wheatley and accidentally sees the switch from his bad face to his good face.
If we don't get those animals, not now, Maisie, thank you. If we don't get those animals,
I said not now!
I'm sorry, honey. This is an important call. If you go up to the library, I'll meet you up there in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you all about it, I promise.
Okay.
Okay.
Notice how in this shot, Claire is wearing white and is stood to the left of the frame, and Mills in a dark, almost black suit is stood to the right, which is perfectly reflected on the walls behind them. I think it's safe to assume that his plan to steal the dinosaurs had been a strict, secret undertaking, which would have required everything to work smoothly, so the uniformed design of this wallpaper enhances that also. There's no mistakes in its design, it's neat and to the point. It's also a very aggressive looking pattern in my opinion. It's got a very stark design to it, which looks exactly like the scales of a snake, which would be extremely fitting for his character, especially considering the biblical subtext that is prevalent throughout the film. The snake or serpent in the book of Genesis is a manipulative creature who tricks Eve and subsequently Adam into tasting the forbidden fruit, leading to the condemnation of humanity by God to an eternal struggle for survival in the world, which is what happens when Mills tricks Claire and Owen to help him. There's even a moment when Mills practically calls them Adam and Eve after lambasting them for their past sins.
You two. You're the parents of the new world.
And also I think the scales of this design are meant to foreshadow the Endoraptor itself, a cloned hybrid dinosaur Mills has kept hidden in the basement. I don't think within the world building itself that this office is solely Mills. It was more likely Benjamin's office, which Mills uses to conduct his business now Lockwood is sick. But within the plot itself, we only ever see Mills in this room. So it's really only associated with his character. The design reflective of his motives, his agenda, and his character as a whole. The design of Benjamin's wallpaper is a little bit more complicated in its design, appearing a little bit more like an ink blot from a Rorschach test, and kind of like those tests, if you look closely enough at this design, it begins to reveal its meaning and connections to Benjamin himself. It has a light background with a black structure surrounded by flowers and bushes. It looks like a vase or a goblet of some kind spewing out organic matter, like a dark fountain of life, which could symbolise Benjamin's work with Hammond in the cloning of dinosaurs, bringing a flood of new life into the world, as it were. Obviously, when it comes to the dinosaurs, birds have a close relationship to them, as birds evolved from dinosaurs, and on this design we can see two birds perfectly perched on either side of the erupting flowers, as if they are being held up by two arms of this design. However, they are reflecting one another, mirror images, and considering Maisie's connection to the dinosaurs through the cloning process and birds, I believe these two birds specifically represent Benjamin's late daughter and her clone, Maisie. The mirroring aspect is also present in the dialogue when Maisie asks Benjamin if she looks like her mother.
Do I look like her?
Oh, yes. You could be her mirror image.
And take note of the fingerprint-like pattern that adorns the wallpaper behind the fountain design. If this is supposed to be a visual representation of Benjamin's part in the cloning of his daughter, the fingerprint design could represent his guilt, like his fingerprints are all over the moral crime of cloning Maisie, the unholy thing he did, as Mills puts it. But the bird motif on this design being connected to Maisie is really emphasised even more when we take a look at the wallpaper in Maisie's room, which is littered with bird iconography. Here we see the walls are lined with a shiny gold leaf wallpaper, which is above a large strip of blue, and dozens of birds and butterflies swirling around these odd looking trees that almost look like they're growing out from a body of water below and reaching out for something, like life trying to find a way perhaps. We see Maisie's name engraved on her bedroom door, which is also held up by birds, and there are birds and flying insects within the design of the stained glass windows of her room. The gold aspect of this wallpaper, I think, clearly indicates how much Lockwood values her. She is special, something to protect. Even her room is situated at the top of this supposed kingdom, like a crown jewel, the archetypal princess trapped in a tower. But the gold is offset by dozens of birds and insects flying all over the place, suggesting to me a link to Maisie's character, who doesn't really know who she is, and her longing to be free, like a bird trapped in a cage. As we see in the movie, she loves exploring her cage, aka Lockwood Manor. As we see a number of times, she hides amongst the dinosaur statues and likes to climb through secret compartments hidden in the walls. And as I mentioned, birds like to explore their cages, so both Maisie and the animals on her wallpaper are flying, but they actually have no place to go. But obviously, as I mentioned, there's not just birds on her wallpaper, there are also butterflies. And I think these are there to represent the change Maisie is about to go through once she discovers who she really is, like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. And the birds are a connection to the dinosaurs once again, as well as both being reflective of her desire to be free and to know who she really is.